Welcome to Poetic Horror.
Welcome again to my beautiful world of death and madness. The human brain is a powerful weapon that interprets every thought, every action, every taste, every smell, every feeling we experience throughout our existence. It is our tool to live, our tool to survive. But the thing is, we cannot live without it. We have to feed it. All those nutrients that get us through the day and solve problems is fuel for a fully functional brain. Thus, the brain is the king, and we are its loyal subjects. And since we cannot live without it, a few questions need to be asked. Are we unintentional prisoners inside our own bodies? And if we are, is there only one way out? How can we claim to be in control if we depend on the brain to interpret everything for us? While you let that sink in, here's some food for thought. Written and narrated by David Cox, and music by Purple Planet. I call this story Brain Food. A college student was close to flunking, failing every exam, every test, grades the lowest in his class, intelligence a dim flicker at best. Lectures he failed to stay awake in. Homework was always presented late. Even his teachers were reaching their tether when it came to his attendance rate. Eventually, he got sent to the head office, who made it clear that he was going to fail. Unless his grades got better in the next few weeks, he would be put out on his ever disappointing tail. He made his way home to try his utmost best. But all he ended up doing was watching TV shows. He was not the most motivated, if at all. How he got enrolled into college, nobody knows. Just then, his parents came in and switched off the telly. He sat up as they spoke severely to him. He could tell the teacher had been on the blower. His chances of impressing them? Very grim. Reluctantly, they presented him with a leaflet. With those words, "We are doing this because we love you." It was an advertisement for special brain surgery to help kids grow smarter. An opportunity right out of the blue. He looked at this and thought, there is hope after all. He thanked his parents and began calling the number below. A few seconds passed and soon the appointment was made. The next day he was there with the doctor, a smile on show. The doctor explained the operation very simply to him. His brain was not the best with medical terms. He pulled out a needle with a green substance inside. Simply put, a quick jab into his skull and goodbye to all those retarded germs. Anesthetic was injected before the serum. He was under sedation for a good hour before he woke up. He had a massive hangover at the end of it. Before he was put inside a room with shelves of books to read up. It felt weird at first, but he knew it had to be done to help him. He was surprised to find that his motivation as well as attention had grown dramatically. Eventually, he was engrossed in every book he opened up. and he could feel all the information brewing inside erratically. Soon he was taking a mock test with the doctor as his mentor, and with pencil and paper, he answered every question correctly. He and the doctor were amazed at the results of his test, as he sat back in his chair admiring his genius calmly and collectively. The nurse came in with a meal of meat, and the doctor explained it to him. In order for the serum to stay active, he had to consume meat every day. Otherwise, the serum could have severe side effects that could prevent growth, putting him back down to what he was before, unmotivated and dumb in every way. For days, his parents kept him on a meat-only diet, and every time he went to college, the teachers could not help but be impressed. Homework with top marks, perfect attendance with just a few things. He graduated with honors. He felt like a fully developed bird, free of the nest. With a solid mark in society, the world was his oyster. But his parents began to worry. The meat-only diet made him gain weight. They tried to mix vegetables in as a necessary precaution, but he began to react in a way that could only be described as hate. Quality meat does not come cheap, and their pockets were getting lighter by the day. It turned into cheap, processed tinned produce. He suffered many headaches every night this way. It got worse when he started screaming from the bathroom one morning. His parents found him wiping blood from his hands and face. He could never remember where the blood came from. But his motivation had come back, his brain moving at a fast pace. And then horror struck. His parents heard someone scream from outside. They ran to their son's bedroom, but he was gone, a terrible feeling in their gut. They feared the worst when they noticed a cleaver missing from the kitchen. Rushing out into the night, they found him feasting on a human, his eyes tightly shut. They could not believe what was happening in front of them. And yet he was fast asleep. And when they finally awoke him, he had a look of fear on his face that broke into tears, apologizing, claiming that it was his mind that committed these acts so grim. It was a long night of explaining the details of his sudden behavior, why he was so smart, and how the side effects changed his life forever. The serum had released a consuming seed-like life form inside his psyche. A life form that was not only independent of its actions, but also very clever. It fed on the nutrients created from the meat consumed by the host, and in return, shared its knowledge while it grew bigger with every deed. His parents listened intently to every detail and tried to understand, while he in turn tried to come up with an idea to get rid of this weed. This big reveal did not rest well. He could feel the life form fight for control inside him. The intense fight caused him to freak out, tightly gripping his head, spouting out words on his own, commands to murder his family, his body in spasms. Life meant nothing now. To save him, he begged his parents for death instead. His parents could not bring themselves to do it, but were torn by his despair. His mom was in tears, helpless, and his father was contemplating his son's request. It is the role of the parents to support their children, but love is a powerful thing. One decision of pure clarity that determines what can be done and what is best. They could see their son was losing the fight. The life behind those eyes was fading. The son they knew and raised and loved was now disappearing from their sight. Unannounced, he leapt at his parents with a cleaver, determined to shut them up. His dad made a bold move, as painful as it was, and indulged him in a fight. The fight was short, but by the end of it, his parents were on the ground dead. The weed inside now had full control over its host and was free to sprout and spread its seed. It walked away, leaving the carnage that it caused, and disappeared into the night, making its way back to the clinic where the doctor was waiting to be accompanied. Life on Earth seemed normal after that, and not much was heard of him afterwards. Alive or dead, somewhere out there, like the end of most stories, you decide. I'm sure the doctor who did the operation is not going to care, and neither would his new assistant. He's got better things to do. Treating a patient, holding a needle with a green substance inside. The things most life-threatening are what we open our minds to. What can be considered a good idea is not always the easiest solution. You never know what you're gonna get, or where you'll end up. Next time you think about dipping your toe into the water, consider what you are getting yourselves into. Until next week, listen to the eerie melodies included in this story, courtesy of Purple Planet. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content and poetic horror.